Okay, so picture this. Los Alamos, New Mexico, 1945. It's this remote desert lab, and there's this incredible intensity, this race to build the atomic bomb.
Yeah, the stakes were just astronomical. Ending World War II, maybe?
But also, the potential for just unimaginable destruction, a terrifying possibility.
Absolutely. It was this crucible, wasn't it? Brilliant scientists, total secrecy, grappling with physics, but also these huge, huge questions about humanity's future.
Right. And today, on the deep dive, we're not just going to list historical facts. We're using a piece of fiction, actually, an excerpt from a novel, as our way in. It's a lens to explore the human side, the tensions of that moment.
It's a great approach. Gives you a shortcut, maybe, to understanding the complexities. And this source has some surprising twists.
Exactly. This fictional take lets us get into the personal stuff, the anxieties, the weird dynamics, the unexpected things happening around this project that literally changed the world.
Yeah, things you might not get from a standard history book.
So if you've ever found the whole Manhattan Project thing a bit, overwhelming, this deep dive is for you. Our mission is simple: to unpack the key players, the feelings, the weird turns in this story, all set against that historical backdrop.
Get the essence without getting lost in the weeds.
Okay, let's dive in. The story kicks off with these two figures arriving, a bit mysteriously. There's a doctor who's supposed to be a nuclear scientist and his assistant, Ace.
And right away, you feel this unease. The author sets that up immediately. They're met by Major Butcher, the security officer.
Right, he's picking them up. But he's undercover, in civvies.
And there's this funny little detail. He's really self-conscious about his jeans. They don't fit well.
Yeah, it kind of grounds him, doesn't it? This serious security guy worried about his pants.
Makes him relatable. But then Ace does something odd.
Oh yeah, in the car. She pulls out this silver box. Looks valuable.
And takes out a shiny capsule and just swallows it.
What's that about?
Exactly. What is it? Medicine? Something else? Why so secretive? It flags them as different right from the start.
Totally. And then there's that slightly weird conversation about where they're going.
Oh, right. Ace thinks it's the Alamo, like the battle site.
Yeah. And the doctor corrects her. But kind of cryptically, he says the word means the poplars.
It's a strange little exchange. Is it just Ace being confused, or is there, like, a code?
Or just showing they're maybe not quite on the same page as everyone else.
Could be. It definitely makes you wonder. And it certainly doesn't escape Major Butcher's notice. He's paid to be suspicious.
Which brings us to the next bit, where Butcher realizes the doctor knows something private.
Yeah, this is where it gets really juicy. Butcher's trying to be all professional, keep his guard up, and bam! This doctor casually reveals he knows Butcher's secret hobby.
That he writes detective novels. Under a pseudonym, presumably.
What a twist. The guy in charge of secrets has his own secret. And the doctor knows the titles: Yellow City, Hell's Inheritance, The Hawk of Gibraltar. Though he slightly misremembers that last one at first.
So what did that tell us about the doctor? How does he know this?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And you see Butcher's reaction. He's suspicious, obviously. It's his job.
But you can tell there's also that little flicker of writerly pride. Someone's actually read his stuff.
Yeah.
Especially this guy.
It's such a human moment. Is the doctor just messing with him? Is he genuinely a fan? Or is it a calculated move?
Well, the doctor's comments about Yellow City seem pointed.
Yeah, he doesn't just say, good book. He praises its depiction of, labor relations in the 1920s, mentions the Wobblies and anarchist bombing.
Which, for context, the Wobblies, the IWW, were a really radical labor union back then. So the doctor referencing that specific social unrest.
It feels like he's maybe drawing a parallel: past chaos, present potential chaos with the bomb, or just showing off that he really read it and deeply.
It definitely makes Butcher think, who is this guy?
But Ace, she just cuts right through it.
Yeah, her comment about his writing being less interesting than picking fluff out of my belly button.
It's brilliant. So blunt, so dismissive. It breaks the tension, but also shows her character.
She's not playing the doctor's intellectual games, is she?
Not at all. More irreverent, maybe more straightforward. Less concerned with maneuvering.
But here's the thing. Even though Ace seems kind of oblivious sometimes, the text suggests they both know Butcher's listening in on them.
Oh, absolutely. Their conversation gets more careful after that.
And Ace almost slips up. She nearly says something. TARDIS.
That near mention. It's a huge hint, isn't it? That there's this whole other context we're not seeing. Even if you don't know what a TARDIS is, it signals they're not just ordinary people. They're operating differently.
Definitely fuels Butcher's suspicions.
Yeah.
Things are definitely not what they seem.
So, yeah, Mysterious arrival, a writer cop, weird pill, strange conversations, almost mentioning a TARDIS, the intrigue is set.
Okay, so next up, they're at a party at the Oppenheimer's house.
Yeah.
And it sounds intense.
Oh, yeah. The description is great smoky, lots of drinking scientists letting off steam, but with this undercurrent of tension, the weight of what they're doing.
And we meet Kitty Oppenheimer. She comes across as formidable.
Definitely. The excerpt shows her having this rather forceful, maybe slightly drunken run-in with Ace.
And this is where we find out what Ace is wearing under her raincoat.
Right. Kitty sort of reveals it. Tasseled leather skirt, snakeskin belt, bright red Western shirt.
Hardly standard issue for Los Alamos, right?
Not even close. It makes Ace stand out immediately, reinforces that outsider vibe. She clearly doesn't care about fitting in.
And then there's Ray Morita. Cosmic Ray.
Yeah, a Japanese-American physicist. The text mentions he's struggling with alcohol. He's loud.
Wears those crazy Hawaiian shirts made by local Native American women.
Which Ace calls jazzy.
And Kitty immediately shuts that down. Don't use the word jazz. Tells you something about Kitty, maybe. Or the times.
Both, probably. Morita's character is interesting, though. Brings in the racial dynamics, the personal struggles within the project. He seems like someone under immense pressure.
And Ace defending his shirts. Maybe hints at a connection between them. Two outsiders.
Could be. And Kitty, she's gossiping, isn't she?
Yeah. Says the doctor seems almost like a father to Ace.
And then gets really sharp, talking about some tatlock bitch. Claims she nearly ruined Oppenheimer, and that's why security is so tight now.
Wow. So we're seeing the personal dramas, the resentments bubbling up.
Exactly. These aren't just scientists in lab coats. They're people with messy lives, rivalries, fears. And Kitty's comments really highlight that, and the intense scrutiny around Oppenheimer especially.
And all through this party scene.
Butcher's watching. Still suspicious. Still observing.
It's a real pressure cooker environment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant people, big egos, secrets, alcohol.
Yeah, the author does a great job using these character moments to show the human side of this massive impersonal project. It's not just about the bomb, it's about the people building it.
Okay, so after the party, things keep developing. The doctor gives Ace a job. Get friendly with Ray Morita.
Even though Ace didn't seem too impressed with him at the party.
Right. So what's the doctor up to here?
It suggests Morita is key somehow. Maybe he knows something, has access to something the doctor needs. It feels like a strategic move, using Ace to get closer.
And the doctor finally tells Ace a bit about his own mission. Or part of it.
Yeah, he says he needs to convince Edward Teller his calculations are wrong. About the bomb itself. Hints at the danger.
And Ace is relieved at first.
Yeah, she probably thinks, okay, good, he's trying to stop something awful.
But that relief disappears pretty quickly.
Because when she asks point blank, could this bomb actually destroy the world? The doctor's answer is basically, maybe. He doesn't say no.
Chilling. That ambiguity is terrifying. The idea that even they weren't sure.
It really ramps up the stakes, and it makes you wonder what the doctor's real agenda is.
So Ace goes to Ray's apartment, following orders. She notices it's nicer than the women's barracks.
And she finds that photo of a woman named Silk.
With the inscription, to Ray, with a world of love. Who is Silk?
Good question. A girlfriend. Wife. Someone important, clearly. Adds another layer to Ray's character. Another mystery.
But before Ace can figure it out,
Butcher bursts in. Gun drawn.
demanding it. What's it?
We don't know yet. But then he spots a record by someone called Lady Silk.
And Butcher confiscates it, saying she's a Japanese propaganda singer. Whoa. Espionage angle right there.
Big time. It screams wartime paranoia. The idea that a singer's records could have coded messages.
And Ray explains that's exactly what Butcher believes, hidden messages from Japanese high command in the songs.
It's almost comical, but also shows how intense the suspicion was. Anything could be suspect.
Does it make you question Butcher's judgment, though? Is he seeing spies everywhere because he writes spy novels?
That's a great point. Is he onto something real, or is his imagination running wild? It definitely muddies the water.
The tension just keeps building.
Right.
Then a gunshot outside.
Right. Butcher investigates briefly, and the doctor immediately suggests they might have been the target.
So now there's maybe another threat. Someone else after them.
Seems likely. Adds another layer of danger. And then there's Professor Apple.
Ugh, yeah. He gets weirdly interested in Ace, tries to drive a wedge between her and the doctor.
Classic workplace politics, almost, but in this incredibly high-stakes setting, potential sabotage from within.
And that food poisoning incident with Rosalita's chili.
Was it just bad chili? Or something deliberate.
especially since they bought it kind of secretively and Kitty Oppenheimer was suspicious about it.
Yeah, it feeds the paranoia. Was someone trying to poison someone? Who? Why? Kitty's definitely got her eyes open.
And amidst all this, they bump into Ray again, and he's frantically looking for cactus needles.
What a strange detail. It makes Ray even more complex. Is it like traditional medicine? A weird habit? Escapism?
It definitely sets him apart from the other scientists.
Okay, and then the story just takes this massive left turn.
Totally unexpected. The doctor, Ace, and Ray, who doesn't really want to go travel outside Los Alamos, off the reservation, literally and figuratively.
And they meet 3 Native American men, Black Eye, Scar, and Sunrunner.
How does this change things? Suddenly we're outside the military base, interacting with totally different people.
It broadens the scope, right? Connects the secret project to the wider world, to the people who were there before. It hints that Los Alamos isn't this totally isolated bubble.
And guess who's following them?
Of course, Major Butcher. Can't let him go.
Only this time, he gets caught by the Native American men.
The tables are turned. The security chief is now the captive. A big shift.
And what happens next is, well, it's really bizarre.
The doctor basically orchestrates Butcher being forced to take peyote.
Wow. Okay. Why would the doctor do that?
That's a really good question. Maybe to disorient him. Maybe he thinks it'll make Butcher see things differently, reveal something it feels manipulative and risky.
And just when you think it can't get any weirder,
An alien spaceship appears.
seriously, aliens. In a story about the Manhattan Project.
Yep. The narrative just goes full sci-fi. It throws everything up in the air. Suddenly, the stakes aren't just war, they're cosmic.
Okay, wow. So Butcher's reaction.
Pure terror, which, is probably the normal reaction.
But he's-
She's described as almost excited, curious maybe, adventurous. Or maybe she knows something about this kind of thing already.
That difference is really telling, isn't it?
Definitely. And then they get pulled onto the ship by glowing tentacles.
Okay, nightmare fuel. And the inside sounds completely alien. Shifting colors, organic.
Yeah, designed to be completely disorienting. Emphasizes how far beyond human tech this is.
Butcher's freaking out inside, but the doctor's trying to make him angry. Why?
Maybe anger is a familiar anchor. Something to hold on to when reality dissolves. A way to stop him completely shutting down. It's a strange strategy.
They explore, find the control room, and then Ray shows up.
Still holding his mezcal.
Priorities, right? Even on an alien ship.
It's that touch of dark humor again. The mundane colliding with the utterly extraordinary.
And then a chandelier turns into another alien.
Yeah, a jellyfish thing transforms. Just constant visual weirdness reinforcing how alien it all is.
So understandably, Butcher and Ray decide this must be the drugs.
Right, the peyote, the mezcal, it's the only way their minds can process it. A hallucination.
And then they pass out. Convenient.
Leaving the doctor and Ace awake. It's their attempt to rationalize the impossible.
And that's when we meet Zorg, the actual alien.
And the doctor reveals something surprising. They're not being abducted. Zorg isn't taking them away.
So, why? Why the encounter? A warning. Observation.
The excerpt doesn't say. It's left hanging, maybe reconnaissance, a show of force. We just don't know Zorg's motive.
Okay, so Butcher wakes up back in his Jeep.
But completely rattled. Was it real? Wasn't? He's doubting everything.
And then he has that encounter back at base with Oppenheimer and Groves. He sounds totally confused, defensive.
Can you blame him? How do you explain that? He ends up vaguely blaming Morita.
Which probably doesn't do much for his credibility, right?
Not at all. He seems completely out of his depth, maybe even unstable. It could definitely affect his job.
Meanwhile, the doctor and Ace, they're out of there.
Yep. Escape by train. Heading for L.A.
And who do they bump into on the train?
Duke Ellington. Of all people.
Amazing cameo. Suddenly we're in the world of jazz and celebrity.
It definitely broadens the story's world again. Takes us far away from the desert lab.
We get that little nod in the baggage compartment, the TARDIS disguised as a big package.
A little wink for those who know the doctor's usual mode of transport. But the meeting with Ellington is crucial.
Right, over breakfast. He confirms he knew Lady Silk. She used to sing with his band.
And he's willing to help find her, even though he knows her reputation now. Maybe some old loyalty there. Or just curiosity.
He gives them a list of addresses, places she used to hang out. So the jazz world connection is the key.
Seems like it. It links the propaganda singer back to this glamorous, creative world. Makes you wonder about her past and maybe her real motives.
So the list leads them to L.A., to this place called the Chapel of the Red Apocalypse.
Ominous name, right? Doesn't sound like your average church.
Definitely hints at something cult-like, maybe dangerous.
And the people running it Albert and Alina Soro. They sound pretty eccentric.
Alina calls them crazy, gossips about strange stuff happening there.
And they collect letters from followers. Seems like a fringe group for sure.
But then they find them lilac envelopes with Lady Silk's handwriting.
Bingo! Confirmation she's connected to this chapel. They're on the right track.
But maybe too close, because next thing they know,
Drugged. Chloroform, ether, something like that.
and they wake up tied to chairs in an observatory.
Dramatic shift. Their investigation just got very real, very dangerous. Being captured means their enemies know who they are and what they're doing.
And who walks in?
Lady Silk herself. Voice like a gentle purr.
Yeah.
Creepy.
And Ray Morita's there too. But he seems different. Calls the doctor and Ace prisoners, like he's under her control.
Looks that way. A definite power shift. Lady Silk seems very much in charge now.
But then she does something totally unexpected.
She unties them, frees them.
Yeah. Why? What's a game?
So ambiguous. Is she playing some deeper strategy? Does she need them for something else that keeps you guessing?
The doctor, though, he doesn't trust it for a second. Disarms her immediately.
Smart move. But then things escalate again.
Enter Imperial Lee and his Japanese commandos.
It's like something out of a completely different genre. So theatrical.
And his plan. Wow.
Yeah.
It's not just espionage anymore.
No, it's completely insane. Use Ray's equations to amplify the A-bomb.
And destroy the entire universe for the glory of the Empire.
It's bonkers. Absolutely megalomaniacal, fanatical ideology taken to the absolute extreme.
And Lady Silk is just along for the ride, as the doctor suspects. And this Imperial Lee is really just some guy named Stanley Wainwright.
It undercuts the grandeur, doesn't it? Makes it seem both terrifyingly ambitious and slightly pathetic at the same time.
And just when you think it can't get any more chaotic.
Butcher arrives. He tracked them all the way to L.A.
That guy is persistent, especially after the peyote incident.
His arrival just throws gasoline on the fire. Sets up the final confrontation.
Gunfight in the basement. Ace and the doctor using Lady Silk as a human shield.
Desperate measures. Really gritty. And then they reveal the well of transition.
This glowing red pit, what even is that?
Sounds like the linchpin of Lee's crazy plan, maybe? Some kind of portal? Energy source. Definitely dangerous.
Imperial Lee falls in. Poof. Gone.
But then Lady Silk, who seemed so cool, suddenly panics. Screams for help.
Yeah. What does that mean? Was she scared of the well all along? Not really on board with universe destruction?
Maybe she was in over her head. Or maybe she just didn't want to end up in the glowy red pit herself. It shows a crack in her facade.
And Butcher pulls her out. But he's still kind of loopy from the peyote, maybe.
Seems like it. He arrests her, but then jokes about the doctor hallucinating. His reality is definitely still warped.
And Ray, he just wants his records back, amidst all the chaos.
Again, just focused on his own stuff. A bit of dark humor after all the violence.
So, wrapping up, Butcher's report smooths things over, focuses on catching Lady Silk, leaves out the alien ships and glowing pits.
Understandable, really? Who would believe it? Imperial Lee's body vanishes from the well. Another loose end.
Lady Silk is going to be used for army propaganda. The irony.
Deliciously dark irony. And we find out the doctor tweaked some calculations. Delayed the Trinity test by 1 day.
Why? What's the significance of 1 day?
We don't know for sure, but it implies the doctor has his own specific timeline, his own reasons for intervening, however subtly.
And that final conversation about Teller still convinced his math is right, even though it might, ignite the atmosphere and destroy the world.
Terrifying. The danger of scientific certainty or hubris, even when the doctor tried to warn him.
And that last line about Ray, not one of the bad guys, but in league with the bad guys.
Leaves you thinking, doesn't it? About loyalty, complicity, how complex people's motivations can be, especially under pressure, morally gray.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the key takeaways from this deep dive into this wild narrative.
Well, we definitely got a feel for the atmosphere at Los Alamos, the tension, the secrecy, the pressure, and we met this cast of really vivid, often contradictory characters. Scientists, spies, maybe aliens.
Yeah, definitely some aha moments. Or maybe, wait, what moments? Butcher the novelist. Lady Silk the singer / potential universe destroyer accomplice.
Yeah.
The peyote trip. The spaceship.
It really blends history with these totally unexpected genres, espionage, sci-fi, even bits of pulp adventure. It makes you think about the anxieties of that time in a new way.
The dawn of the atomic age, science versus ethics, secrets, paranoia. It's all packed in there.
It really uses fiction to explore those themes in a way straight history might not. The complexity of a people, their hidden lives, their compromises.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, maybe for you listening. In situations with such high stakes, so much conflicting information, maybe even reality itself seeming slippery, how do you figure out what's real? Who can you actually trust?
Especially when people are driven by intense beliefs, whether it's winning a war, scientific truth, or, well, something much, much bigger, maybe even cosmic. Something to ponder.
Definitely. Thanks for diving deep with us today.